All right, today I'm gonna show you guys how to create a product video / commercial with no lights that looks like this.
It's gonna be alright. How can you tell? The sun is shining bright onto another day. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay.
In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create a commercial using only natural light. This is a new tutorial and a sneak peek for my recently released product video course. The course is jam-packed with 18 chapters and counting that dive deep into creating commercial and product videos from the business side to pre and post production, showing you how to create videos like this. The link to my product video course is in my bio. The course also includes the breakdown of how I edited this commercial, and if you'd like to learn that, check it out. As filmmakers and creators, I want to challenge you to create with what you have. Over the years in the business, I've heard lots of excuses like, I don't have the right gear, so I can't do this or that. It's not all about the gear. In today's video, I show you how to utilize the sun while using really inexpensive equipment to create something that looks commercial quality. When you don't have equipment, you have to be creative and crafty. Figure out ways to make your visions work with what you do have and just start, because it's better to create than just sit around and never start. And if you never start, you're never gonna improve. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about shooting indoors and utilizing the sun and the best way to work with it. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure it's daytime. I recommend starting early, right after golden hour. We're not gonna wanna shoot during sunrise or sunset, otherwise that will change the hue of your light. Next, open all of your windows to let the natural light in and turn off every light inside whenever you're shooting. You don't want to use any of these lights and you don't want them to show up in your shots. We are in my kitchen and the challenge today is to create a commercial with no lights. And when I say no lights, I don't mean no light. I just don't mean any film lights or any of the house lights or any lights in the camera or on screen, but we're gonna be using the sun because you do need light to get an image and that's how the camera works. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna film with Kodiak cakes. We're not sponsored by them. We just thought this would be good. We thought a lot about what we wanted to do and portray, and we wanted something that would be fun to make, but also a little bit grittier style, marketing style, because since we're not using really any lights, we're not gonna be able to really adjust and kind of control our setting as much, and we're kind of at the whim of the sun. I would be very particular with what product or client you choose to use natural light with. I highly recommend not to film glass because you'll not be able to control all the ugly highlights and reflections that the windows and bouncing light create. I personally chose Kodiak cakes for 3 reasons. 1, the box was cardboard and matte. Knowing the light hitting it wouldn't have to be controlled a lot to produce a pretty image. 2, the aesthetic and design of the box matched my kitchen and set design that we would be filming in. And 3, I knew I could create a lot of interesting action shots with pancakes being created, which make the video more engaging. You'll have to be patient with the shoot and really play around with different angles and looks. The sun will be constantly changing, especially if you have a cloudy day. You do not want to shoot in direct sunlight because that will be way too harsh of a light and will be changing constantly throughout the day. But we can use the sun inside by setting our shooting surface as close as you can to the window. So what I'm doing right now is before we start, I can't tell if I like this table or our other table that's a little bit higher. One's a darker wood and one's a lighter wood. So I'm just putting them in a position and kind of photographing so I can switch between the two and see which one I like more and what's gonna look better for the video. So now we're gonna grab the other table and just see. Since we have both, might as well try it because you know, you really wanna have what's gonna highlight the product best. Use your window light as a key light that comes from the side or front of the object. Don't shoot with the window directly behind or place the object directly in front of the window because you'll blow out your shot and you'll lose contrast with the image. The first shot that we did is actually the first shot in the video. I wanted to create a unique pour shot that looks super high end. I actually invented this idea for a recent video I created for Sneak Energy. I wanted to get a pour shot where the camera and object rotate perfectly together. I came up with the idea of taking your tripod head and mounting your C-stand boom arm and taking a plate with a baby pin adapter and attaching it to the other end with a knuckle. From there, use a lot of gaff tape. All right, so the first shot that we're gonna get, I'm actually pretty proud of this. I came up with this concept for getting like a perfect matching camera to pour shot using a C-stand. And the way that we're gonna do it is we have to take the knuckle of the C-stand and mount it incorrectly and actually have the part that's supposed to mount onto the stand itself go through the pole. And then from here, we take another knuckle and we connect a baby pin to plate adapter, and we're gonna gaff tape the box onto here. And then on the other side, I've connected my tripod head and it just screws right on to the arm of the C-stand. And what we're gonna do is, let me loosen this. We're gonna put it up like this so that they're pointing directly at each other. And then it's not ready yet, but we're gonna rotate. And so the camera's gonna rotate exactly with the pour, and we're gonna pour it into a bowl. And it's gonna look pretty cool. And I'm pretty proud of this. Next thing that we're gonna do is I need to prep this box. And the way to do it for this pour shot is we're gonna open up this bag and we're gonna pretty much pour all the material into it, because otherwise the whole plastic bag, the whole plastic bag is gonna slip out. But we're also gonna cut these tabs because they're not gonna be seen and they're just gonna be in the way otherwise. So let's do that next. So for our pouring shot, we couldn't have it in the bag because it was too clumpy and going plop, plop, plop. It doesn't look good. So we took some cardboard from one of the other boxes and then used gaff tape right here and created a ramp, and then filled it each time to pour. So just one smooth pour. We're gonna talk about bouncing light. So our fill light, we're gonna need a little bit of extra light and a little bit of extra push onto our objects. Otherwise it's gonna be pretty dark on one side. So two things that I have that I use often is I got a gold reflective card, which I just got at a hobby store. It's just gold paper and it's very reflective and it gives you a more warmer look. And I got that because I'm thinking with the syrup, we're gonna wanna have it be a little bit golder and highlight a little bit more. So we're gonna be using that hopefully for the syrup and anything that we just wanna pop with a little bit more warm tones. And then I got this at Home Depot. This is a beam board and we just cut it out and taped it. It's just pretty much foam core and it's white and it creates a lot of reflection. So if I turn it towards the light right here, if Kendall pans down to the chair, you can see right here on the edge of the chair how it lights up. See that?
It's gonna be alright.
This is the next thing that we're doing. We have these curtains already and they're white material. So we're gonna use these as a diffusion because we could open this up and we might, if we need to get more light into the background area, but we're gonna be staging most of our stuff in our table right here so that we have the light as close as we can, or the product as close as we can to the window. Windows naturally give off pretty soft light as long as the light's not directionally pointing in through it. And since we have an awning outside, we don't have direct light coming through the window. But just to make it a little bit softer, I'm using our curtain, which is white, like I said, and it's this soft fabric material, and it gives a little bit of softer light comparatively to that, and it's just gonna make it a little bit cleaner of a shot when I'm shooting the close-ups of this packaging. So unfortunately, we started a little too late in the day and our light has gone. So we've pushed the table against the window pretty much to get some light. It's a little moodier than I would plan to do. And we're trying to do a slow-mo shot, which is not what I recommend when using no light, but we're shooting, luckily, these Canon cameras and Sony cameras, you can shoot pretty high ISO to get your, whoa, my voice cracked there. Apparently I'm going through puberty. But to get your exposure correct. And what we were doing is I had Kendall, it took us 11 minutes, and I know that doesn't seem like a long time, but there's not much setup for this shot. It took us 11 minutes of going straight, and we also wasted all of our almond milk, unfortunately. But what we're doing is I'm like this, and I'm rotating as Kendall's pouring the milk in, and I'm trying to follow her. The issue that I was having as I rotated too much my framing would be up here and I would get her just pouring, but it was very bad composition by the time I'd land here, and I'd have too much headroom on this side. And so I had to do smaller movements and make sure that I was aiming the camera and trying to keep this very center. But I think we got one that we're happy with. I'm honestly pretty impressed because I've not had very good autofocus luck with this R5 or my 1DX since they switched, and I've heard Sony's amazing. But this actually did what we needed to do on autofocus. So I'm pretty impressed because we're doing some pretty crazy movements, and also it's pretty stable, especially at 120 frames. And I think we got a cool shot. I think it'll be nice to mix in, but we're gonna have to stop for today because we had to turn on the kitchen lights just so you can see my face. But that is it for this. So for the pancake flip shot to the shot of the pancake landing on the plate, I just used a simple frame blocking technique. We mounted the camera at a bird's eye view with the C-stand. I had Kendall stand directly under, practicing multiple flips, throwing the pancake up at the camera until she got one that covered the entire camera frame. Then we slid the table underneath the camera and I stuck a skewer into the pancake, similar to my burger commercial. I rotated the pancake by hand down onto the plate of pancakes so it would land perfectly. In post, I matched the two shots together when they covered the lens, then masked out the stick with simple wire removal.
The sun is shining bright.
Today's a little bit more even of lighting, so that's good, but we're having a little bit of direct light coming in right now. And since we're only focusing on this and this bowl is quite reflective, I brought in my 5-foot diffusion, foldable diffusion, and these are actually really cheap. You can get them on Amazon for, I think it was like $25 for this. $25 can be the magic number for a lot of cheap things for some reason. And then we have the camera hooked up to a New Year little roller skate thing. That was $25 as well, and it's pretty cheap. And I haven't used it really yet, but this is like perfect for it because Kendall's gonna be pouring in and we're just gonna get a second pouring shot to cut from our first pouring shot. And I'm gonna push the camera like this so it kind of rotates around. And you can set the wheels to the different like rotational that you want. I had to do it a little bit wider so it's not a perfect rotation for the fact that we would run out of space and run into the bowl, and then this is just not tall enough to look over the bowl. So we have to do it a little bit differently. We're using the front of the bowl as a little bit of foreground, but to get the light even nicer and just a nice soft even light all the way across to get this shot to really pop, I'm gonna take the beam board and attach it to the C-stand, and we're gonna just put it over top like this, and it just really lightens up everything and just evens out the lighting, and we're gonna have it just like this.
How can you tell?
So the hardest shot by far was the butter landing on the pancakes, then quickly pouring maple syrup. I know it didn't look super complicated, but we only had one shot to get the pour of the syrup, or we'd have to recook new pancakes all over again, and that took a lot of time. So we had to time it up right and make sure the camera was in the right place and the butter landed in the right place until we could pour the syrup. I think we dropped the butter about 30 times before we actually poured the syrup in the same shot. Okay, so now we are gonna be doing our butter dropping onto the top shot with following up with syrup. And the way that we're doing that is we got all of our pancakes, we chose the best looking ones, we stacked them, and we used little cardboard pieces in between to give it a little bit more space so that it makes it a little bit more volume to the stack of pancakes, otherwise they look very flat. But before that, what we did actually was take this Scotchgard fabric shield and spray the outside of all of the pancakes on both sides, because what it does is it repels water, and once we pour the syrup onto it, it won't soak in, which will make it look a lot prettier. The last thing that we did is, or the thing that we're doing is we're gonna be putting motor oil instead of syrup into a container to pour, because motor oil looks very similar to syrup, but it's darker, and syrup is a little too clear that you just don't get that goldeny syrup look. So we're gonna be using this instead for our syrup. So don't eat these pancakes. They'll look pretty, but they're gonna taste terrible. Last thing I'm doing is I'm just taking this gold card, and you can get it at a hobby store. It's really cheap, it's $1. And I'm just putting it right here, and it's just giving a nice gold reflective side to the pancakes. You can't really see that, sorry. That's probably hard to see it from there, but it gives a nice gold look to the pancakes. And then with that, what I'm doing is once the syrup hits, it's supposed to highlight and make the syrup golden and warm looking. So no lights, just reflectors, $1.
To another day. Yeah, it's gonna be.
We have our pancakes again, and since we sprayed them down there, we were easily able to transfer them over to a new plate. We're gonna put new syrup on them because we drenched that thing with syrup. And then we're gonna do a little bit of powdered sugar. Kendall's gonna be doing that from the side. We have the gold reflector hitting off, but now we've brought in set design. We have the Kodiak cakes at the end, you know, like most commercials. We have our hot cup in the back, which we're gonna put the tampon with the hot water so steam is coming out of it. We have fruits, so we're just having colors, and then we're gonna have a very shallow depth of field so the background is all blurred out and you get the sense that you're in a kitchen, but it's not too distracting because our kitchen is not like the top of the line commercial kitchens, so you know you have to blur it out a little bit. Other than that, we have the big pop-up diffusion again just to soften the light even more, and then we have the white foam core on top just to bounce light back down to fill everything in to make it even softer. And then yeah, then we are using a blanket over there to kind of block out a little bit of weird light. We are getting weird reflection from the window over there, and that's it. Again, we're not using any lights. So we took the camera and put it on this little new weird roller skate thing that I got for like 20 bucks on Amazon, and then put a little bit of cardboard underneath just to tilt it up a little bit. And this thing is ready to go. And this is gonna be our little slider shot. And then we just are using our cutting board thing to have a little bit more height because it's a little too low. So that's it. We're gonna decorate it now, and then we're just gonna cue it, and I'm just gonna pull back nice and slow. For our hero shot, or the last shot in the film, we got extremely lucky. The sun decided to poke out of the clouds and shoot directly into the back window of my kitchen. Right when I saw that, I rushed to my supply closet and I grabbed my haze can, which is just haze spray that helps create atmosphere. And if you have direct sunlight or a sharp direct light coming through, you can create beams with it. If you don't want to rely on luck and want to get something like that, you can download the Sun Tracker app on your phone, and you can pretty much track where the sun's going to be on any day at any time. And you could line that up so that you could possibly get the sun poking through your windows for a shot. All right, guys, this is it for how to shoot a commercial by only using natural light. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to create, and it was a really unique challenge to put myself through. If you haven't checked out my course yet, I highly recommend you don't sleep on it. I go into so much detail on how to really step up your product commercial game and take your work to the next level. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time.
It's gonna be alright. How can you tell? The sun is shining bright. To another day. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay.
And that's how we like to do it.